who were working on 4 of the 6 reactors there. They also had to stop pumping the water from the fire trucks in as well. Such did the situation become so dangerous. Now they don't know exactly what the cause of this black column of smoke is, but radiation levels didn't actually change as a result of it. All the same, TEPCO decided to pull its people out. Now there is a worry that with reactor number 3 and number 1, temperatures now exceeding what those reactors were actually built to do, and as a result it may be some time before they can send those workers back in and really tackle the problem. Yet again, a major setback. Who knows when they'll actually be able to get it under control, Shep.
Dominic DiNatale, hour and a half before sunrise on a Thursday morning. Dominic, thanks very much. Also there in Japan, new fears of food safety after tests found higher amounts of radioactive iodine in the Tokyo tap water. Tokyo, now that's 170 or so miles away from those reactors. The numbers are twice the acceptable level for infants, according to the government recommendations there. So they're saying for babies not to drink tap water. Not that they did very much anyway, but the radiation is spread to vegetables and raw milk in recent days, but that's up in the Northeast. Japan's health ministry says levels still pose no immediate risk for any adults. The massive wave that caused so much death and destruction now was 77 feet high at its peak. That seems impossible, but that's what they're telling us. That's about the high of a 7-story building. So reports the government-commissioned study by the Port and Airport Research Institute over in Japan. Officials say the tsunami killed more than 10,000 people and wiped away entire cities in the northeastern part of the country. Wow. The city of Detroit isn't just shrinking or hurting, it's shrinking. Next, why people leaving the Motor City in droves and what it means for the people who stay behind. Plus, a lifetime in the spotlight comes to an end. To look back at Liz Taylor's remarkable career, that's coming up.
Charlie? Please, Charlie. Do you want me to go away? Is that what you want?
News now on Fox News Channel, and we've just gotten word 8 explosions heard in Tripoli, but not at any of Muammar Gaddafi's compounds, we're led to believe. And if true, this would mean the first time that the coalition air strikes have happened in the stronghold of Tripoli, but not at his compound. It would be a significant development if true, and we have every reason to believe it is, in this war that is not a war. Jonathan Hunt is live with us. Jonathan, what has just happened?
Shep, we're hearing a series of explosions, we're being told, in eastern Tripoli. One tweet that I was just reading from, I believe, a resident in Tripoli itself, saying that these were in the Tajura district. I don't know much about that particular district of Tripoli, except that it was apparently the center of Libya's nuclear research, although obviously Colonel Gaddafi ended his nuclear program some time ago. But we're hearing that these explosions, according to Libyan state TV, were aimed at military targets, but also, again, according to Libyan state TV, and there may be a case of they would say this anyway, but they are saying also civilian targets there. Obviously something one assumes the coalition would deny, Shep.
All right, Jonathan Hunt, we expect updates on this from the United States as that war continues. Jonathan, thank you. More bad news from the struggling city of Detroit now. There's new census data that finds the number of people living in the Motor City has plunged to a level not seen in more than a century. And now the mayor there is asking for a recount because it matters on federal money, as you might imagine. According to the census, Detroit has lost more than 200,000 residents in the past decade. 200,000. The experts say the biggest decline is among middle-class African Americans, many of whom have moved to the suburbs for better safety and services. Right now, government figures show the city's population is just more than 700,000. Compare that to the Motor City's heyday back in the 1950s, when nearly 2 million people called Detroit home. At one point, it was the 5th largest city in America. Let's get right to Jerry Willis and get her 2 cents. Jerry Willis from the Fox Business Network. This migration seems to be an extreme example, but it's not the only one.
Oh, heck no. You know, this is all about unemployment. Detroit's unemployment rate, 12.7%. That compares with the national rate of 8.9. Only half of Michigan counties had increases in population. The rest had declines. Michigan as a whole, their unemployment rate, 10.7%. And you look across the country at other states as well, and the places that you see a lot of this trend going on. California has an unemployment rate of 12.5%. New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Illinois, all these places are losing population. And it's not just people going to the suburbs. I hate to say this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people leaving entirely for jobs. They want
Right.
jobs.
Maybe they're tired of snow in spring, because in New York it's snowing again today. Where are these people going?
Well, they're going to the
Sun Belt?
Sunshine State. They're going
Yeah.
to Florida. They're going to the Sun Belt. That's where a lot of the jobs are. Take a look at Florida here. Only 2 of 67 counties actually lost population in this report. So they're gaining. You got to think that a lot of retirees are going there, too.
Sure.
Arizona, Texas, North Carolina, a big recipient of a lot of people moving in. And again, these are places with low unemployment. Keep in mind here, a lot of these states in the South are also getting immigrants, legal
Sure.
and otherwise, that are moving in. So there's a lot going on, but the big story, really unemployment.
North Carolina, quite a turnaround. A lot of new clean industry in that state. Its big cities are growing. It seems to be functioning very well, North Carolina.
It's a great state.
Yep,
I'm from North Carolina.
You are?
It is a great state.
Dark blue or light blue when it comes to basketball?
Light blue.
Light blue?
Yeah,
Well, we'll
baby.
see how that goes.
It's the end of
I'm
our
afraid
relationship. I can see that right now.
I'm afraid it's going to be Dookies in Kansas again, but I'm pulling for VCU all of a sudden. I'm on that bandwagon. Yeah, okay.
Go basketball.
I'm speaking foreign languages. You talk about business, and I feel the same way. Jerry, we'll be watching for you tonight at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, about an hour and a half from now, on the Fox Business Network. The Willis Report, only on FBN, where they give you the power to prosper. And it's the fastest growing business network in all of cable news. Did you know that?
I think it's fantastic.
It is the most fantastic thing. And if you don't get it, demand it. Demand it. Just demand it already. Come on. Good times.
All right, sorry.
Hollywood today mourning the death of a legend. The actress Elizabeth Taylor died at the age of 79. She'd been in and out of the hospital over the past few months. Doctors at Cedars-Sinai out in California say she died of congestive heart failure. The Oscar-winning actress first became a star at the age of 12. The year was 1944 in the film National Velvet. She played a memorable lead role in films like Butterfield 8 and Cleopatra.
On your knees.
You dare ask the proconsul of the Roman Empire?
I asked it of Julius Caesar. I demand it of you.
Yeah, you get down there on your knees. But it was her personal life off screen that kept her in the news. Trace Gallagher in our Hollywood newsroom now. Hello, Trace.
Hi, Shep. You know, she was a star at 12. She was a divorcee at 18 and a widow at 26. And a longtime writer once said that Elizabeth Taylor put the sweet in scandal and the glamour in gossip. Over her career, she made 70 movies. In fact, at one time, she was the highest paid actress in Hollywood for Cleopatra. She signed a record $1 million deal, but her true fame really came with her lines of jewelry and perfume. When she divorced her 7th husband, Larry Fortensky, her wealth was estimated at $600 million. You saw pictures earlier. She was married to hotel king Conrad Hilton, pop idol Eddie Fisher, and of course, movie star Richard Burton. Entertainment correspondent Jeannie Wolf covered her for years and said that she was a joy. Listen.
Elizabeth loved jewels. She loved fashion. She loved life. She loved good meals. She loved men. And the thing is, she was unafraid to show that. She dared to be showy.
Of course, in later life, Elizabeth Taylor battled her weight, she battled her health, she battled the tabloids, but her most passionate fight was likely against AIDS. After her great friend Rock Hudson died of AIDS, she founded the American AIDS Research Foundation, generated millions of dollars for that cause. Of course, her friendship with Michael Jackson was well documented. She simply said she got him and he got her. When Liz Taylor died today, she was surrounded by her 4 children. Shep.
Trace Gallagher live in Los Angeles. Trace, thanks so much. Get that out. Watch for flying pigs, all right? Watch for flying pigs. Guess who's on Hannity tonight? Guess. Larry King. Sheboygan, hello. Larry King is back, and he's not on that weird channel. He's on the Fox News channel tonight. The man, the king, Larry King, on with Hannity tonight, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Shepard Smith, this is Studio B. It's the bottom of the hour. Time for the top of the news. There is breaking news now. This, according to Libyan state television, that's Gaddafi's TV station. According to an unknown witness and a military source, the United States and his coalition are carrying out airstrikes in the capital of Tripoli, eastern side, we're told. Libyan state television gave no further details on this report. We're working to confirm it. More on that as we get it. Meantime, the White House pushing to hand over control of the operation in Libya. But there are many questions about when this might happen and who would be in charge. Plus, it's not a war, mind you. The White House says this isn't a war. Yes, we're dropping bombs. They're shooting at us, but it's not a war. Good times with semantics. It's Wednesday, so let's get to Wednesdays with Juan. Fox News political analyst Juan Williams is live in Washington. Not a war, Juan. It's the weirdest non-war I've ever seen.
Well, it sure looks like a war to me.
Why would you not call it a war? There are reasons for that, right?
Well, oh yeah. I mean, it's very important in terms of public opinion in American politics, and it's interesting that if you look at international politics, there's a whole different set of dynamics at play, especially for the French and Nicolas Sarkozy, who's under his own political pressure right now. He's not very popular and up for re-election. But the larger argument here in the United States is the American people are supportive in the short term, but when it comes to the idea of a long-term commitment, there's just no support, and the president, the White House, well aware of it, Shep.
If you call it a war and you can't put out clear and present danger to the nation itself, then don't you have a congressional issue as well, so the semantics matter in more ways than one?
Yeah, in fact, Dennis Kucinich has been making the case that, Obama should be impeached for not having gotten congressional approval. Senator Webb of Virginia has also said, if you're going to do something like this, you really did need to have debate in the Congress. But in the short term, the White House position is they had to act quickly in support of the UN resolution. And again, as you were saying, not at war. But I think the larger point there of saying not at war, I don't think they're too worried about impeachment or congressional action. They figure it's going to be over before that. But I think their larger worry is, one, that the president would seem as if he had taken this action recklessly, because there's still big questions about exactly what's the end point. What's the win here? Is it an ouster of Gaddafi, or is it simply that we claim under the UN resolution somehow humanitarian defense of civilians and making sure that people have a place to flee to? That's the confusion. That's the argument, and they don't want to lose that one with the American public.
You mentioned the flee business, the place to get away to, and that's partly where the French come in. The French have had a bit of an internal crisis on this front already. The French are worried about all kinds of things, and Nicolas Sarkozy is working on his poll numbers, and this is kind of a popular matter there, isn't it?
It sure is. Now, see, it makes him seem stronger, and it says, it just depends where you are, because here you have a situation where President Obama fears looking weaker, that a lot of the criticism has been that his leadership has been lacking in this regard, and that he shifted, from someone who said, no, let's not get involved, to someone who did get involved because of pressure coming from some in his administration, but not the military. So again, from the president's perspective, and I think the administration's perspective, this meeting they're going to have next week in London, where they decide whether or not it's a NATO-led action going forward, or whether you simply allow the British and the French, Sarkozy, who's seeking to look stronger and who seems to be getting that result with his public, whether or not they take the lead in whatever coalition takes command of the military action from going forward from next week.
All right, Juan Williams live with us in Washington. Juan, it's great to see you, as always. Thank you.
My pleasure. Good to see you.
All right, we're going to call it a war here because it's a war. I was just looking up the dictionary definition of war, and this qualifies. As we've been reporting, 2 American airmen had to eject from their F-15 before it crash-landed in Libya yesterday. Both men survived, and officials blame a mechanical problem, not enemy fire. Earlier today, a former fighter pilot and Army Air Force Captain Scott O'Grady talked about getting shot down back in '95 while enforcing a no-fly zone over Bosnia.
My airplane exploded around me. I was being burned before I could even eject, and I ejected at 27,000 feet, about 500 miles per hour. Had a parachute descent that lasted up to about nearly a half an hour. Coming down over enemy territory, death squads were immediately there to try to capture me. I hit in 3 different locations, evaded over the course of 2 different nights, and finally was able to make radio contact.
Captain O'Grady spent 6 days on the ground before rescue finally came. O'Grady was the last man to be rescued from a war zone before yesterday's crash, and you saw that F-15 there. We actually went in there, United States jets went in and blew up the remains of that thing so that it couldn't be of any use to the people we're fighting in this non-war. Serious problems are still brewing in other countries across the Middle East, including in Yemen, And no matter what happens there, the experts are saying it'll be good news for Al-Qaeda. That's next. And bunga bunga. Oh, my. Pictures from inside the Italian Prime Minister's parties have hit the interwebs, and we'll bring them to you here.